One of the speakers that's going to be looking at advertising and taking a critical eye to it is Scott Rafer, who, though American, is well known in European circles and spends a lot of time there and does a lot of business over there. And we had requests for him. And he runs a social media advertising network, and he's going to be diving into what are the actual economics around that and why you won't make as much money as you may hope you will. So I think that talk in particular will tie in directly to what Tim was just saying.
We also have a very healthy keynote lineup that includes some of the top investors in Web 2 startups across Europe. And I think this is where Tim's getting to about some of the concerns about the Web 2 market being primarily advertising supported. We're going to spend some time on stage with people like Martin Varsavsky, Yossi Vardi, Saul Klein, Tariq Karim, talking about where they want to put their money, where they see the most interesting startups coming, and what they think really has legs in this market. And I think what you'll be able to see at Web 2 Expo Europe is a conversation between somebody like Tim, who's thinking about, and sort of setting trends globally. We've got some of the top investors in Europe on the keynote stage, and that you'll be talking with both Martin Varsavsky and Yossi Vardi, and we'll also have Saul Klein there, talking about where they want to be investing and what they see as the sectors and the trends that are attracting them. I think I'll just sort of flesh out from a program standpoint the different levels that we'll be kind of offering here. So on the highest level, again, our keynotes this year are really dominated by the investment sector and people who are making it their jobs to look across the European layer of innovation and pull out specific stuff that they're interested in. We do our keynotes with a seated conversation to start, and then we follow up with sort of short bits. And in that section, we'll be getting some of the people who are not so much investing, but are really building interesting things, thinking about the web and where it's going, and are going to just talk about the trends and the work that they're doing. So people like Julian Bleeker, Lisa Reichelt, who coined the term ambient intimacy, which people are using to explain Twitter these days. Ben Hammersley from The Guardian, who's a fantastic speaker. Sue Charman, Patrick McDevitt from TeleAtlas talking about geodata. So we really want the event to both look at sort of the big picture and also from the perspective of someone who is building a Web 2 app, marketing a Web 2 app, integrating design principles with their development, all the different aspects. It's really an event for them to both see the big picture and the more day-to-day trends all at one place.
And that's one of the things that TeleAtlas' CTO, Pat McDevitt, will be able to talk about. TeleAtlas was just purchased by TomTom. They're the second largest geodata provider, and they've been making huge infrastructure plays in gathering 3D data along with the traditional street map data.
And on a more sort of commercial, practical level, we do talk at the conference about the potential for virtual worlds, both from a design perspective. How do you understand how community interacts in a virtual world as opposed to, say, a Facebook community? But also from a marketing perspective. We do have a strong business community at this event, and one of the things they're looking at is as other forms of marketing become less and less effective and you're moving your money into different areas, is there a potential to use virtual worlds for marketing purposes? So there'll be a pretty thorough discussion of that led by Matthias Mischke, who runs Stardoll in somewhere in Scandinavia. I think people have started to really see social networks as this piece that sits between what we used to think of as the gaming world and the online, sort of traditional online community world, where a lot of the dynamics cross over both directions, and there's a lot of sort of fertile ideas for development in those worlds. We do have a talk also by Timo Arnal that's titled Web in the World in our design track, where he talks about the same way that the web is extending into the mobile platform, it's extending into the physical world, and the various places where that's permeating and what the implications are of that. There's a big aspect of this event too, which is helping translate these very, well, not very, but somewhat further out trends into what's happening in corporations today. So just one example is we have a talk by J.P. Rangaswamy, who's at a big bank, about how Web 2.0 has changed the way they communicate within that organization. And that's just one of several talks that are on a little bit more of a practical level, so that you understand this event is accessible both to sort of people on the edge and people in the middle who are bringing these practices into an organization, figuring out how it works in more traditional business. So there, again, multiple levels for this event. I also wanted to call out, since there's been a lot of interest from the community in putting women on our stages, that we have quite a few female speakers at the event, and it's something we have encouraged and supported, and we'll try to do an event for women, a networking event for women one evening at the event as well. But other than that, I think we've given you a good sense of the sort of high-level topics that'll be covered at the event. I'll add also that the companies that are able to see connections across what used to be silos have an advantage. For example, Tim's talking about analytics. If you use analytics from your website to feed back into the evolution of your user experience, you have an advantage in terms of being able to build something that people like Google is a master of this, but we're trying to help companies understand the set of data that they have and how they can feed that back to improve their business. There's a company called Nitobi who'll be talking about that in our design user experience track. I guess just the final note would be that it's an interesting day to be having a conference call on this with the financial markets where they are, and that we're hoping by the time we get to Europe we'll have a little bit more clarity on this, but it seems like we'll have a keen eye on where Web 2.0 investments are, but what we're hoping to see is that the innovation in this market protects it somewhat from what's going on in the larger markets. And the ethos of transparency that you see throughout the Web 2 world is sort of a new direction that the financial markets can take to get themselves out of the mess that they're in.